Hello everyone, this is Abhishek Singh, Assistant Professor at Engineering College Banswara, Rajasthan. So welcome to our channel Tech to Faculties. Here I will be teaching Basic Electrical Engineering subject under the initiative Let's Bridge the Gap. So last lecture we have started our second module, that is AC circuit, and in our first lecture we have discussed the properties of some sinusoidal alternating quantities and average and RMS values of some alternating waveforms. Okay, so today we will start with the phasor. Okay, so let's first discuss what is a phasor. So a phasor is a complex number that represents the amplitude and phase of the sinusoid. Okay, so how we represent our complex number? Let's say z is equal to x plus jy, and this is a rectangular form of complex number. Where this j is nothing but root of -1, the iota. Here we are using j because small I we generally use as a current quantity in electrical. Okay, so this is the representation of complex number in rectangular form. So we can represent this complex number like, here we have a x and the real axis here, and suppose imaginary axis here. So this is your x and this is your jy. Okay, so you can represent this rectangular complex number into a magnitude, that is r, and an angle phi. Okay, so we can represent this complex number in the form of r angle phi, which we call a polar or phasor form. Polar form, where r is under root x square plus y square, that is magnitude, and this phi is the phase angle, that is tan inverse y by x. Okay, so this is called a polar form of complex number. We can also represent it in a trigonometric form, like r, that is the magnitude, cos phi plus j sin phi. Okay, this is trigonometric form. And we can also represent it in exponential form, r e to the power plus minus j phi. Okay, where this r is same, that is x square plus y square, and this phi is tan inverse y by x. Okay, this is exponential form. Okay, so we can represent this rectangular form into this polar form, this triangular, or this exponential form. Okay, so where we use this polar form, in this chapter we will frequently use this polar form and this rectangular form and this trigonometric form also. So if we have a complex number, if we have two complex number and we have to add them, suppose we have z1 as x1 plus j y1 and another complex number z2 as x2 plus j y2. If we had to add them, then we will simply add them in rectangular form, because in rectangular form we can simply add the real part separately and we can add the imaginary part separately. Okay, so if you have to do subtraction or addition, we'll write it in the rectangular form, and if we have to multiply or divide or any other operation, then we will write it in this polar form. Okay, so let's see the operation on polar form. Suppose we have to multiply two polar numbers. Suppose we have r1 theta 1, one quantity, and second one is r2 angle theta 2, two complex number. If we have to multiply them, then the magnitude will be directly multiplied and the angle will be added. Okay, so this will be your result. Okay, so what will be if we divide them? r1 angle theta 1 divided by r2 angle theta 2 is equal to, magnitude will be directly divided and the angle will be subtracted like this. This theta 1 will be subtracted, this theta 2 will be subtracted from theta 1. Okay, like if we have 1 by j, that is iota 1 by j, we can represent it as minus j. Okay, so if we have to suppose take a square or a square root of any polar form, suppose square root of r1 angle theta. Okay, so magnitude will be simply the square root of r1 and the angle will be theta by 2. Okay, and if we have to take a square of r1 angle theta, then magnitude will be simply get squared and angle will be 2 theta. Okay, this power will be directly multiplied into the angle. Okay, so these are some simple operation on polar form. And if we have a number, suppose z, it's a complex number, x plus jy, then z star is a complex conjugate of this complex number. We can write it as x minus jy, or in polar form we can write it as r angle phi or theta. Here z star we can write it as r angle minus phi. Okay, so these are some simple operation on polar quantities. So let's take an example. Let's take a first one. What is it? 40 angle 50 plus 20 angle minus 30 degree. We have to take a square root of it. Okay, so 40 angle 50, or 40 angle 50, you can write it as 40. If we are writing it in trigonometric form, 40, we can write it as 40 cos 50 plus j sin 50. Okay, like previously, if you have a rectangular form x plus jy, okay, you have a rectangular form x plus jy here, if we have to convert it into r phi, then r will be x square plus y square and phi will be tan inverse y by x. But if you have a polar number like r angle phi and you have to convert it into rectangular form, then you can adopt the trigonometric method, like you can write it as r cos phi plus j sin phi. Okay, now r cos phi will be your real part and r sin phi will be your imaginary part. Okay, so this 40 angle 50 will be what? It will be say 25.71 plus j 30.64. okay, and let's take another one, 20 angle minus 30. 20 angle minus 30, 20 angle minus 30, you can write it as 20 cos minus 30 will be cos 30 only, and sin minus 30 will be minus sin 30, minus j sin 30, and it will come 17.32 minus j10. okay, then we have to add this numbers, means we have to add this one and this one. okay, so finally we'll have addition 43.03 plus j 20.64. then again we can convert it into polar form. Why? Because now we have to take a square root of the whole. okay, so after converting this into polar form, we'll get 47.72 angle 25.63. then we have to take a square root of this. Square root of means you have to take a square root of 47.72, that will be 6.91, and you have to divide this angle by 2 and it will come 12.81, and this is your answer. okay, so this way you have to calculate this polar numbers. okay, so same way you can calculate this one also. So you can give your answer in the comment box. Here this is 3 minus j5 conjugate, that means actually it is 3 plus j5. so remember, when we are doing addition and subtraction, then we'll write it in rectangular form, and when we are doing another operation, then we'll write it in polar form, the complex number. okay, so where we have to use this polar form? So in alternating quantities, if we are using sinusoidal alternating current or sinusoidal alternating voltage, then if we have to add more than one or more than two sinusoids, then this polar form will help you. Otherwise you don't have any trigonometric formula to add 3 or 4 sinusoids. You have formula for adding 2 sinusoids, but you don't have any such formula for adding 3 or more than 3 sinusoids. Then there this polar form will help you. okay, so some property I'll write here, you can remember. If we convert this time domain circuit या time domain element into frequency domain या फिर phasor domain, then this d by dt, the differentiation we do in time domain, will be converted into phasor domain. then it will become j omega. J is again our iota, and omega is the frequency of phasor domain or in frequency domain. okay, and this integration of dt will become 1 by j omega. okay, suppose if we are doing dv by dt, then in frequency domain or phasor domain it will become j omega v. And if you are doing v dt integration, then in frequency domain it will become v by j omega. Okay, so you can remember this. Based on this, if we have element like R, L, C, then what will the voltage across R? V is equal to IR, okay, in time domain. And in phasor domain or frequency domain, you have V is equal to, you'll have V is equal to IR, because there is no differentiation, integration. And what will be the voltage across inductor? It will be L di by dt. Okay, so when you change this voltage into frequency domain, you will get V is equal to L d by dt will be j omega I. Okay, so this j omega L will be actually your impedance, or you can say reactance, inductive reactance, because by Ohm's law V proportional to I, and V, this proportionality is equal to this j omega L. That means this is your, this omega L is your actually the reactance. We will discuss it later when we discuss the series and parallel circuits. Okay, then current in capacitor is C dV by dt. So we can write it as I in frequency domain, I is equal to C j omega V, or you can write V is equal to I by j omega C. Okay, so it means V is equal to IR. IZ is your Ohm's law. This, it means the impedance or the capacitive reactance is 1 upon omega. We will discuss it later. So at this moment you can just remember this. So you just have to remember this operation only. The d by dt will be converted into j omega in phasor domain, and integration of dt will be converted into 1 by j omega. This will help you solving any kind of series or parallel circuit. You don't have to study separately the series AC circuit, the RL, RLC, and then you have to study the parallel series, parallel RLC circuit. You don't have to study separately. Using phasor diagram, using phasor concept, we can solve any kind of series or parallel circuit. Okay, so let's discuss them one by one. Okay, let's first discuss the purely resistive circuit. Resistive circuit. Okay, suppose we have a sinusoidal input here. We have a resistive, purely resistive circuit. This is V and this is, let's say, I. This is our resistance R. Okay, so by Ohm's law V is equal to IR, we all know. Okay, so here the current, if we have a V, let's say V as a reference, V angle 0, okay, then I is equal to what? V by R. Okay, and R is constant only, so angle of I will also be equal to 0 if we convert it into polar form. Okay, so it means this current I and V are in phase. So if we draw the waveform of voltage and current, suppose this is our voltage, let's say Vm sine omega t. Then what will be the waveform of current? The current will also be in phase of the voltage, and it will be like this. The magnitude will be different because it will be V by R, but they will be in phase only. Okay, so this is the equation of current, Im sin omega t. Okay, then what will be the power, waveform of power? For power, you can simply write P is equal to VI, A star. So here you can point to point multiply, then V is positive, I is positive, power will be like this. Here V is positive, V is negative, I also negative, then power again will be positive, and here the power again positive, and this again positive. So you will get power waveform like this, and this is the instantaneous voltage and instantaneous power waveform. So if we write the equation of instantaneous power, P T, what will write? Voltage into instantaneous voltage into instantaneous current, that is Vm sin omega t into Im sin omega t. Okay, so Vm Im can take the common, and it will be sin square omega t. Okay, so if we take average of this instantaneous power, suppose we want to calculate average power, then what will we do? We'll integrate this for time period, let's say pi 2 pi. So let's integrate it with respect to pi. So 1 by pi 0 to pi, and Vm Im sin square omega t, you can write it as 1 minus cos 2 omega t. We have discussed this in last lecture also, by 2, and integration of this cos 2 omega t, it has double frequency, then for half period this integration of this cos 2 omega t will be 0, then you will get only pi by 2 here after putting the limits. You will get pi by 2, pi will cancel, so you will only get Vm and Im by 2, and you can write it as P average is equal to Vm by root 2 and Im by root 2. In last lecture we have seen this Vm by root 2 and this maximum value by root 2 is our RMS value for sinusoidal waveform. It means your P average is equal to V RMS into I RMS. So this is your average power for purely resistive circuit. Let's say this is your something, the constant average power, let's say this is your P average. Okay, so for resistive circuit you have a resistance or impedance, what you can say, it's R only. Okay, and you got your average power as VRMS and IRMS. Let's discuss the behavior of sinusoidal on purely inductive circuit. Okay, purely inductive. So let's say here we have a supply voltage, say V angle 0 with the frequency 50 Hz. Okay, sinusoidal supply, and here we have an inductive load with L Henry inductance current I. So here we have written this V in the polar form, the supply voltage. It can be in sinusoidal also, like Vt is equal to, let's say, 120 sin 2t, anything like this. Okay, So we can convert this also into the polar form, like 120 by root 2, that is in RMS value, it is RMS value. Angle 0 because there is no angle here. If there is any angle sin 2t plus minus theta, then we will take that angle here. Okay, and remember the frequency, angular frequency of the circuit will be this 2. So omega will be 2 for the whole circuit. Okay, now let's come to this circuit. We know the voltage current relationship in purely inductive circuit is V is equal to L di by dt. Okay, so if we convert it into frequency domain, what will we get? V is equal to L d by dt will be converted into j omega I, and you will get your I is equal to V upon j omega L. So from Ohm's law you can see here that I is equal to V by Z. I should be equal to V by Z, V by ohm. Then it means your impedance in this circuit is equal to j omega L. Okay, and from here if you convert it into polar form, you will get V upon omega L as a magnitude, and angle will be minus 90. Why? Because you know 1 upon j is, you can write it as minus j. This iota will go numerator and it will become minus j, and plus j minus j, if you convert it into polar form, if you have suppose plus j, what it means? It means 0 plus j in rectangular form. So if you convert it into polar form, the magnitude will be 0 plus 1 chi square means 1, and angle will be tan inverse. Angle will be what? Angle will be tan inverse 1 by 0, tan inverse infinite, that is 90. Okay, so if you have j, then you can write it as 1 angle 90, and if you have minus j, then you can write it at 1 angle minus 90. Okay, so what it indicates? You have I with an angle minus 90 and you have V with an angle 0. It means for purely inductive circuit, the voltage across inductors leads the current by 90 degree, or you can say the current in inductor lags the voltage by 90 degree. Okay, let's draw the waveform here. So if it is a voltage waveform, okay, then from the relation you can say that current is lagging with 90 degree, lagging the voltage with 90 degree. It means it will start here, it will be like this, the current waveform. If it is a voltage waveform, and this will be your current waveform. Okay, then what will be your power waveform? V into I. Your power will be like here, from here to here the voltage will be positive, current is negative, then your power will be negative. From here to here your power will be positive because both voltage and current is positive. From here to here current is positive, voltage negative, power will be negative, then positive, then negative. So your power waveform is an alternate positive and negative. Okay, so here is your instantaneous power waveform is there. So from this you can see that average power will be equal to 0 because it is an alternate positive negative waveform. Okay, so it means that the inductor does not absorb power or dissipate power, it store energy and transfer it. Okay, so from the relation also you can derive this average power is equal to 0. Okay, let's say your instantaneous voltage V is equal to Vm sin omega t, and your current is lagging, so it will be like Im sin omega t minus 90. Okay, so if we calculate power Vi, then this sin omega t minus 90 will be your cos omega t, then it will become Vm Im by 2 cos 2 omega t, and average value will be 0. Okay. One thing you can see here, we represented this sinusoidal input as V angle 0. Okay, so we can represent it in sinusoidal form also, that we have discussed earlier. Okay, so now let's discuss the sinusoidal behavior for purely capacitive circuit. For purely capacitive circuit, here you have input V angle 0, capacitor I. Okay, so what is the current voltage relationship for capacitor? We know I is equal to C dV by dt. Okay, so if you convert it into phasor form, you will get I is equal to C j omega V. From here you will get V is equal to I upon j omega C. From Ohm's law you know that V is equal to I into R, means I into impedance. Then here your impedance will be 1 upon j omega C. Okay, so this will be your impedance for purely capacitor. So if you want to convert this C into ohm into in impedance, then you just have to write 1 upon j omega C instead of C in phasor domain. Okay, so we'll discuss it later. So let's come to this. From here V is equal to I upon j omega C. Okay, so what you will get from here, that I is equal to j omega C into V. If you convert it into polar form, you will get I is equal to omega C V, that is magnitude angle 90. It means your current here is leading the voltage by 90 degree, because you got plus 90 angle here, and your voltage has angle 0. Okay, so here again if you draw the waveform, what you will get, if you draw the waveform, here is your voltage waveform, and the current waveform is, let's say, 90 degree leading, means it will be like this. Okay, it will be like this. If it is your voltage, so it is your current, then what will be your power? From here to here, both voltage and current is positive, the power will be positive. From here to here, voltage positive, current negative, power will be negative. From here to here, power positive, then negative. Okay, then positive. So again you will get your power waveform as alternate positive and negative. Then again your average power here will be equal to 0 only for the full time period. Okay, now let's discuss. You see that for purely resistive circuit, the average power was something positive value, that was Vrms into Irms, and for purely inductive circuit it was 0. For purely capacitive circuit also it was 0. Okay, now let's discuss the RL circuit. Discuss RL circuit. Suppose we have a voltage source here, V angle 0, 50 Hz frequency. Okay, and you have a resistor and an inductor RL. Okay, we have current. So if you apply KVL here, you will get what? V is equal to, in time domain, IR plus voltage across this inductor will be L di by dt. Okay, if you convert it into frequency domain, what will you get? V is equal to IR plus j omega. You will get in place of d by dt j omega. L is here and I. So if you take I common, what will you get? R plus j omega L. So from Ohm's law, you know V is equal to I into impedance. So this should be your impedance here. So here your impedance will be R plus j omega L, or you can say R plus j XL. This XL is your inductive reactance. Okay. So here your circuit is not purely inductive and not purely resistive, but it's an inductive circuit. That means your current will lag the voltage not by 90 degree but by some angle phi. Okay, because it is an inductive circuit, the current will definitely lag the voltage by some angle phi. So let's say your voltage is, V is equal to Vm sin omega t, and your current, supply current I is equal to Im sin omega t minus phi. We are taking it minus phi because you know the current is lagging with some angle phi because it is an inductive circuit. Okay, so let's calculate the instantaneous power here. We'll draw the waveform later. Let's calculate it mathematically. P is equal to Vi. So we can write Vm Im sin omega t into sin omega t minus phi. Okay, so if you multiply, divide by 2, you will get Vm Im by 2, and here 2 sin omega t into sin omega t minus phi. So you can apply this trigonometric relation to sin A into sin B is equal to cos A minus B minus cos A plus B. Then you will get what? Vm by root 2, Im by root 2 you can write. So you can write Vrms, Irms. Here you will get cos A minus B means cos phi minus cos A plus B. Cos A plus B means cos 2 omega t minus phi. So this is your instantaneous power. Okay. So now if you are taking integration, you are taking average value. So your P average will be what? If you are taking average of this cos 2 omega t, it will again come to 0. If you integrate this 2 omega t for a period, this will again be 0, and your P average will be only Vrms Irms cos phi. Okay, so here is your P average. Now let's draw the waveforms. So let's say this is your voltage waveform. Okay, and your current will be lagging only because it's an inductive circuit. So your current will be lagging with not with 90 degree but some angle phi. Okay, so let's say here is your current waveform. Okay, lagging with some angle phi. Okay, so this is your angle phi. Let's say this is your angle phi. Okay, now draw the power waveform. Let's say this is voltage, this is your current. Now power, from here to here the current is negative, voltage positive, the small negative power will be there, and from here to here both voltage and current negative, the big positive power will be there, and from here to here again I positive, current negative, voltage negative, small negative power will be there. Then again from here to here you will get the positive power. Okay, So what you are getting here, you have a small negative powers and large positive power. Okay, you don't have any equal positive negative power. So average power will not be zero, but there will be some average power, which is Vrms, Irms, cos phi. But it is not equal to the average power we got in purely resistive circuit, that was Vr, because in purely resistive circuit we got only positive power, there was no negative power. Okay, in purely resistive circuit what we got power waveform like this. Okay, there were no negative power. Okay, so this negative power is your reactive power, we'll discuss later. Okay, so from here we can conclude that this average power is somewhat less than the average power we got in purely resistive circuit. This is obvious. From the diagram only you can say this, because it has some negative one and it doesn't have any negative peak. So the average power we got in RL circuit is somewhat less than the average power we got in purely resistive circuit. Okay, so from here only we can define a term called power factor. Okay, so what is power factor? We can define it. Let's define a term, power factor. So power factor is what? The general definition is power factor is what? It's a measure of degree. It's a measure of degree at which any load matches the purely resistive load. Purely resistive load means in purely resistive load you got a maximum average power, but in mixed load like RL, RC, you get somewhat less average power. So how much your load is matches the purely resistive load, that is only the power factor. Okay, so if we write it in formulation form, we'll write P average for any load divided by P average for a purely resistive load. Okay, so what you will get the average power for RL circuit? You got VI cos phi. Okay, so VI cos phi, and for purely resistive circuit you got VI. Okay, from here your power factor is cos phi. Okay, so we generally discuss power factor. When we discuss about power factor, we say the cosine of the phase angle between voltage and current is the power factor, but it is applicable only for the sinusoidal input. Okay, but our general definition of power factor is if there is any input and any load, the power factor is the P average of at any load divided by P average for a purely resistive load. Okay, so this is the very general definition of power factor. So next we will discuss the significance of power factor. Okay, so first, if before discussing the significance of power factor, we'll discuss some power quantities. Okay, then later we'll discuss the RC, RLC series circuit and parallel circuit. So let's first discuss some power quantities. Powers. So first we have a complex power. Complex power. Complex power is what we can represent it as a S is equal to Vi star. Okay, so if we have V in a polar form and I in a polar form, we can multiply V by I conjugate, then we will get our complex power, and it will be a complex number only. Let's say P plus J Q. Okay, so here the real part of our complex power, we call it an average power, true power, or active power. Okay, so what is active power or true power or average power? It's a useful power. Okay, so if you convert this P plus JQ into polar form, you will get some magnitude S and some angle phi. So this S is your apparent power, that is V into I. V RMS, I RMS is your apparent power. Apparent power. Okay, this is your apparent power. Okay, so we can write it like Vi cos phi plus Vi plus JVI sin phi. Then this P is nothing but Vi cos phi, and we call it as active power. And this Q is what? Q is your Vi sin phi, and we'll call it as a reactive power. Okay, the unit of active power is watt. Unit of reactive power is VAR, reactive volt ampere. Okay, and unit of apparent power is volt ampere, simply. So volt ampere. Okay, so we have three powers now. S, that is apparent power. It is a total power transfer from source to load. And this P, the real part of this complex power, is the active power, that is the power that is useful, the useful power. The component of apparent power that is useful is our active power, and the component of apparent power that is not absorbed in the circuit, and it is called reactive power, it is Vi sin phi. Okay, here this phi is your power factor angle. Okay, so next lecture we'll discuss the significance of power factor and then some series RLC, parallel RLC circuit, and we'll do some numeric problem also. Thank you.